Hi, and thank you for joining me on another episode of the Tech Exec Podcast, where I'll help you create teams worth leading, because life's too short to lead mediocre teams. As always, I'm your host, Aviv Ben-Yosef, Tech Executive Coach and Consultant, and our subject today is Axioms that aren't. This is about something that I think too many of us take wrong. We assume that things we take for granted, that all sorts of things that we're used to at work are just, they're there, they're constant, like rules of nature, they're never going to be changed. And the fact is, that's rarely the case. I recently talked to a CTO that had told me about a very weird structure of a bunch of recurring meetings going all over the company, and those were sucking up so much of the team's time, but it seemed like no one really changed it. No one spoke up and told the CEO it doesn't make sense because they were all assuming that's just the way it is. Until that one person spoke up and said, hey, how about we change things up? I mean, why are we even doing that? Turns out it traces back to something that happened years ago, probably like COVID, that by then, maybe, then at that point, it actually made some sense, but it no longer did. And no one spoke up for years till someone finally did. They made a change. Everything's fine. People are so happy and are like, why didn't we do this even earlier? Another example is when I worked at a startup and I was among the first employees there, and we were working, I don't remember, like 13, 14-hour days. It was crazy. And after a few weeks, I'm just like, okay, I'm done. I'm not going to continue working like that. And just stopped. I told my boss, I'm not going to work insane hours. I'm just going to work the regular, 9 to 10 hours a day. And that's going to have to be enough. Or if not, just, okay, I'm fine. I'll just move on from here. And you know what? It just was fine. And within a few days, the entire engineering team just followed suit. Sometimes we don't even register how much control and flexibility there is in our lives, that we can change things around to ensure that things are working better, to experiment. Even if whatever idea you have right now is not the best way of doing things, at least try, experiment, do something and see what happens. Don't allow yourself to just be stuck in a situation, in a way of doing things that just is not working out for you. Life's too short for that. Now, this episode is first of all about realizing the fact that we have this flexibility. No one usually is going to come to you and tell you, hey, you have a lot of flexibility here. This is up to you to realize that you have the ability of voicing up your concerns, your ideas, saying, hey, maybe we can change something. Speak up and make sure that you don't just stay silent, because that's the fastest way to hit not just, a low momentum sort of culture, but reach a dead end. You're just going to get burned out eventually, because you'll feel like you keep having to swallow all of your ideas till you just can't have enough, even if you don't register it, which is something I've seen. People who don't even know what's bothering them till I sit with them and we entangle it, and then we realize that yes, they have been not vocal about their ideas till they reach a point where they've become so passive, they sort of hate the work and they hate themselves in the work context. No, you need to realize that it's important for you to speak up. That's why you're in a leadership position. And also, I want you to make sure that you have the same happening with your team. Don't just reply to things when someone asks about something, when someone has an idea. Don't just say, yeah, but that's not how we do things. We have a way here. No, take a second and think, why is that how we do things here? Does it have to be still the way we do things, or can we change things up? At the end of the day, even if something worked well and you have really good reasons for why you started it a year ago, 2 years ago, or a month ago, that does not mean, it does not guarantee that will remain the best way of doing things even later. Things are very flexible, very change very fast in our industry, and therefore we have to be constantly allowing ourselves to test new things, to revalidate our assumptions, and not treat as axioms things that are certainly not axioms. They just happen to work for us at a time. I don't know, once, twice, for 3 years, doesn't matter. Just because it did work well doesn't mean it will continue to do so. There are a lot of things not to like about Elon Musk, but one thing I do like from the biography of his is that description of his algorithm for making things simpler, for taking things out till you can no longer do so without harming the end result. And this actually applies to how we look at our processes, at our organizations, these things that we look at as axioms, as things that cannot change. If you have that point of view of saying, is it though? And you try to pull it out and see what happens, means that you maintain the experimentation mindset, means that you're going to keep iterating, trying new things, ensuring that whatever you're doing actually makes sense. And you might end up in an experiment realizing, oh yeah, okay, so there's a reason it works like that. Let's revert and continue doing it like we always did. Or you just might strike gold. You'll realize that, okay, we don't have to do it like that. And that opens up a bunch of new possibilities. We can do different things. We can try a new way of doing stuff. We will take less time. We'll be happier. I don't know, whatever it is. Not being chained to one way of doing things, sometimes without even realizing why, will make things so much easier for you and your team. So the takeaways are, first of all, for you, start looking around and start voicing your concerns and asking, hey, why are things like that? Or can we try to do things a different way? If you hate the way some meetings are held, if you are sick with that project, with the way responsibility is being split, with the org structure, ask yourself, can we do it differently? Can we try? Don't assume that it's hard-coded in the universe, but think, can we do it differently? And two, think about your team. Whenever you have a postmortem, whenever you realize that something was problematic, realize and check whether your team is being open enough with you. Are they telling you when things don't make sense? Are they speaking up? Or are they also assuming that a lot of things are axioms that cannot change? Because your team ought to know that you are there to experiment and iterate. This is about you working with the executive team and your team working with you. And ensuring that you enable these changes will make things so much easier, smoother, and ensure that you maintain constant growth as time progresses. And boy, do we know that that's something that we all need right now, because you cannot continue saying that's how we have always been doing things. Things are just changing so fast nowadays that we have to keep reinventing and reevaluating the way we've been doing things. Otherwise, we're going to be left behind. That's it for this week. Thank you for joining me. As always, do check out my newsletter. We're going to get each week this podcast, an article, a video, and some other free goodies. The link is in the show notes, and I'll see you here next week. Ciao.